Hello, Earthlings. Franny Elcrease here, writer, creator of Earth Creator, Spiritual World Awakening. That's the sticker to my book cover. Most of my videos on here are of me reading my book, but I have finally decided to. It's been a progress, but I wrote down some new amendments for our country. Because if I do run for president, I joking about it, but I'm also kind of serious about it because I just feel like that's the biggest way to change is by getting up at the top of the corporate ladder that our government has set up for itself. Um, but I was looking at the amendments and realized that most of the amendments are just plainly stupid. I mean, they even have amendments of when they were like, oh, hey, I guess black men can vote now. And then later on, oh, I guess women can vote now. And shit like that. So I just was like, we're in it's 2022. It'll be 2024 back, in the future. We need a new, updated amendments to where it's just plain and simple. Everyone can understand it because I was reading some of them and I'm like, I don't even know what half of this shit means. But also, I remember reading one of them talking about how bail bonds, I guess, bailouts are not supposed to be overly priced for people who can't, to get out of jail. Yet they do that all the time to the people in poverty. They make their bails so outrageously amount that they can't get out of jail, and so they're just stuck in jail. So the way I see it is that the state government has been breaking their own rules and getting away with it because they're the government. And I also believe that the federal government should be the overseer of the state governments, kind of like a main corporation type deal over the mini corporations, or like in a business sense. Because I feel like politics is mostly business. It's not actually what's good for the people. It's just for the rich. I mean, the people who created the government in the first place were the rich people. They were the ones who created it. You had to be rich in order to even have a voice. I mean, for the longest time, women didn't have a voice. And that's when the government started, was women, black people, indigenous natives, everyone who were being colonized by the white people, didn't have a voice. And that was when the government was, created. So in order to just put a stamp on everything and be like, this is the new laws of the land, because that's kind of like what the amendments are, is like the law of the land, I guess, even though most of the states are, ignoring it and taking away people's rights and shit. Like, I think even one of the amendments kind of vaguely says that you can't be taking people's rights away, but yet here they are doing it. So the way I also see it is that because the federal government should be overseeing the state governments, they should be the ones that can be like, hey, this state is really fucking up, so we need to like clean it out. Because like, I think of it as retail. So like, I worked at a pet store and they had a manager that literally just went around to other stores. He kind of like just traveled basically. So anytime a store manager got fired because they were doing a lot of bad shit or whatever, he would go in, basically clean it up, and then try to rehire people who will hopefully actually do their job, but sometimes that doesn't work. But anyways, kind of like that. Like, so the federal government should be going over to the state government and saying, hey, like, first off, I don't think we should have homeless people. We should not have people starving. That to me is not the failure on the people, it's the failure on the government, because the government is supposed to be for the people. Yet they have not shown any indications of actually helping the people because of the fact that there are homeless people. That's what you need to look at. To me, homeless people and people starving and the education system being whack is the government's fault. And that's why we as people should be able to like, hey, we want to just overhaul all y'all, because clearly you're not doing what you need to be doing. There's certain states that still have, I mean, even in my place where I live, you can't drink the faucet water. Like, you need to have a filter to it. And I think that that's just another way of them making you spend more money at the store because you have to keep filters, because you gotta pay buy more and change them out and shit. When in reality, I think the water company themselves should be the reason why, or should be where the filter is at. They should be filtering the water before it even comes to the house. So if we're going to pay for fucking water, it should be at least drinkable. And the fact that there's some, I can't remember which states there are right now, and I'm not gonna, it's probably a lot of them, so I'm not gonna claim just one or two. It's probably a few of them that you have brown water coming out of your faucet, and that's disgusting. And that to me is the government's fault. And because they are at fault, like me, I can get fired for calling in too many times to go to work because I'm sick or something. If I can get fired for that, then they can get fired for not doing their job. Because in reality, being a politician is a job, and their requirements and standards should be set higher. And if they're not qualified for it and they only got into it because of how much money they make, they're not qualified. People who are actually there for the people should be the ones who are qualified. It doesn't matter how much money they're making. But to overhaul all that, I think getting in, like, I really do want to run for being a president in 2024, because if I can get into that higher rank, which I know some people think, oh, the president doesn't have that much power. Bullshit. Because our last not president was sitting there firing people left and right, people he needed to help with the pandemic and shit. So if he can go around firing people like that, I'm just gonna do it. Who cares what they say? If they're fired and they're not allowed to come into the office anymore, then they're fired. That's point blank simple. If they can create a corrupted government, then I can create a healthy government and make it to where healthy people are coming in, people who actually want to help people come in. Because if that's what the government is for, then that's what the government should be. And so that's why I think starting out with changing the amendments, like that'll be the first thing I do if I get in office, when I get in office, however you want to say that. Because the amendments are supposed to be the law of the land, and they're what sets shit into flow. So like if this is being actually enforced, then corrupt businesses and corrupt politicians basically won't have a way to be involved. They'll be against it, and so therefore they'll just get fired. And I think that'll be, not resign. I can't stand it when we sit there and try to like, so and so should resign. Why don't you just resign? You're not fit for it. No, just fire them. If the whole, like, even if it's a vote, if they're fired or not, so and so needs to be fired, and you put yes, fired, no, don't fire, and then fire them. Like, why not? Also, voting should be done easily, because I'm over trying to vote for my local shit, and it is the most complicated, stressful thing ever. And I already, like, people who don't have the mental capacity to do it because they're working paycheck to paycheck, or they're stressing about money, if they're going to pay rent this month or buy food for, for their family or whatever, they don't have time or the mental energy to do this. So if I became president, I would even make it where the voting was so much easier. It would be just a public thing. Everyone would know who everyone was. I also, and I think we should do this before 2024, the election of 2024, we should be allowed to hear everyone speak, all the parties speak, not just the two-party bullshit. We need to dismantle this two-party bullshit, because they're both lame and they both suck. Not one is better than the other. They're not. And then sometimes even the third party people aren't that great, because I actually voted third party last time, and it was hard to find information on the people, for one, but I did find enough information to not vote for certain parties, because they might be for one thing, but then they're against something else I'm actually for. So I'm hoping that the way my campaign would be, I would actually be for everything that we've been fighting for thousands of fucking years. Women's rights, transgender rights, queer in general rights. Like, that's what I would be for. I would be for the people who have been silenced for fucking ever. But, so I wrote down the amendments, because I read the amendments, figured out how they're written and shit, and if they even make sense, and I had to literally look up some of the words that were in there, because they were just fucking weird. But, so I wrote them, and I do put them in a certain order, but doesn't make them like one's, more important than the other. They're all important equally. But the First Amendment, would be starting out with all who live here have access to safe, clean housing, fresh, healthy food, clean, drinkable water, all for free. We shouldn't have to pay for water. We shouldn't have to pay for electric. It should be all free. I would put into action to go solar and get rid of all these poles and shit because they're what catches on fire and crap. So like everything that I would be wanting to do, and you can't say, "Oh, we're taking people's jobs away." No, I'm just creating different jobs. So if you work for the electric company, you could still work for the electric company, but your job would be kind of basically a little different. But you'd also get paid way more because people should get paid better. Because I would up the freaking minimal federal minimum wage would be, honestly, I would want to go $20 an hour, not even 15, maybe even 30, just to piss people off. Because everyone who spends time and energy at a job should only have to work that one job and be able to feed and have a house. But I say free. So housing should be free. Nobody should have to pay for housing. We should all have the house, and I even put the house should fit the family with plenty of space. Okay, oh, that's part of the other amendment. With plenty of space. So instead of having like families living in like a one apartment place, that's bullshit. The place should fit the family. So if you have a family of four, you have, the parents' quarters, and then each child have their own room. No one shares a room. Everyone has, and that's how big of a house they get. So some of you guys, and it doesn't mean that you should be popping out kids left and right so you can have a bigger house. Have them have kids that you can handle, because I guarantee you these people who have a lot of kids can't handle all that. Those other older kids are taking care of the younger kids. Those adults aren't doing shit. But anyways, that would be my First Amendment. No more paying for food. We shouldn't have to pay for food. No more paying for drinkable water. Non-drinkable water is what we're paying for. But I would make it drinkable, but then also I would make it free. So everyone would have access to plumbing, and it would be for free. And you're probably wondering where I'm going to get all this money. And this is the biggest thing. Stocks and all that shit, that fake money that just sits there and goes up and down and people are watching it. I don't ever understand it. I don't think it's meant to be understood because it's for the rich to be more rich. That's where the money would come from, because to me, all money is monopoly money. It's all fake. They created money so they can become rich, and we had to thrive on or survive on it. Not even thrive, but survive on it. So I would make it to where money would be just pushed out everywhere. Education system, healthcare, which is going to be my Second Amendment. All who live here and are visiting or temporarily live here, I don't even care. Like, if you have to come here for basic healthcare, cool, you've got healthcare. I don't even care if you're just here visiting. If you want to come over, visit, and get a tooth pulled because it's going to be cheaper, it's going to be free, so be it. I don't even care. I'm tired of us only helping the rich, basically. That's how I see it, is that they're only helping the rich. Second Amendment, all who live here and are visiting or temporarily live here have access to health care. This includes dental, eye, ear, and very importantly, mental health care. All overall health care for all. Basically everything that is for your health is gonna be there for you. None of this insurance companies and shit. I'm gonna make it to where those don't even need to exist because there's no point in it. There's no point of a privately owned middleman wreaking havoc and making you pay more money than you already paying whenever you buy or have to go get stuff done. It's bullshit. And that's why I put in eye, ear, dental. All of it is covered. Third Amendment. All domesticated and wild creatures of land and water, and I guess sky, but I feel like they're kind of land too. They only hang out in the sky when they're flying. But anyways, will have free access to overall health care. They have the rights to safe, clean habitats, free, healthy food, and clean, drinkable water. They are protected from mental, physical, and emotional abuse. And that's going to be a literally amendment for all the animals, because I'm tired of the animals getting treated like shit. This mass producing cows and shit just to feed us when we really shouldn't be eating meat, not okay. Animals should be able to live out their life. They live as old as some of us do, and they should be able to live that. They should not be literally mass produced just to be slaughtered. It's disgusting. I don't care if you do want to eat your meat, fine. Have some cows, and when they get old, I guess you'll get some meat. Meat will be like a luxury thing, and you'll only get whenever an old ass cow dies, or pig, whatever. Because I no. And that's why I say domesticated and wild, because I just recently had 2 pets pass away, and going to the vet was the most stressful thing ever. And that's why I wanted to make this amendment, because vets, just like doctors, we should have to pay for it. It should not have to be paid for. It should just be, we can literally produce the medicine to save lives without thinking about how much money it's going to make. They only put money on that because they want to make a profit off of it. And so I would make it to where you're no profit in healthcare, no profit in healthcare for the animals. It's strictly, if they need a surgery, then they get the surgery. Who cares? Who cares about how much money it's going to make? That's so stupid. Okay, Fourth Amendment. Fourth Amendment. All plant medicine will be federally legal and the main source for healthcare. All synthetic and artificial harmful medicine will be illegal. So pharmaceuticals is going to have to completely overhaul change, because plant medicine can help us, period, the end. They've made us even use weed killer on dandelions, and dandelions are not only food for the pollinators, but it's a good food and medicine for us. And they've made us think that it's bad and that we should get rid of it and that we don't need it. And that's dumb. So amendment, law of this land, would be all plant medicine is what healthcare would be about. Fifth Amendment, separation of federal and state government. And I was very careful on how I worded everything. Federal and state government and church will forever be the law of this land. Those who abuse this power will be denied to ever be allowed to run for any office, and those who have already abused this power will be held accountable and fired. So I would make it to where if you're using your religion to dictate how your government is run, you're not qualified for that job anymore, and you're going to be fired and held accountable for the abuse of power. Because most of these asshole politicians could be easily put in jail for just abuse of power. And that's what we can market. Abuse of power. Abuse of money. Abuse of being greedy assholes. Like, I'll even put that on there. I don't even care. Sixth Amendment. Freedom of religion, speech, petition, and assembly of all followers with consent of all who are involved without manipulation of brainwashing. So I figured, the churches would think I'd be coming after them, which in reality I am, but Sixth Amendment is for you. And yes, it's the Sixth Amendment, which I know they're probably going to hate the number 6, but I don't care. But they've been getting away with abuse of manipulation and brainwashing way too fucking long. And so if you can see that there's no consent involved, like there's children or women being forced into marriages and shit, the fact that there's preachers out there who marry children disgusts me. And that should be illegal. I don't care if you do have a guardian, a parent saying, oh yeah, you could totally marry that 30-year-old man because we're going to get money for it or some bullshit. I want to take that away. That's not allowed. It's illegal. And that's why I give them their freedom of religion, but they can't be using it to corrupt shit. Because that's what they've been doing for thousands of years. They've been using their religion to hang witches, to enslave people. They've been using that religion for the most corrupt and evil shit ever. To me, religion is the evil. Religion is unnecessary. It doesn't need to be involved. But just so they have their amendment, they can have their freedom of religion as long as they're not manipulating, brainwashing people. And if we see that abuse, we hold them accountable, because churches, for a fact, have been not held accountable for the shit that they've been doing. And they've been abusing children for a very long time. And that is disgusting. And it's because they've been in a relationship with the government, because the government and religion are the same damn thing. They are the ones who created the government, so they, of course, had all that power to hide their bullshit, hide their toxic shit. Okay, Seventh Amendment. Amendment. This amendment is to clarify that all means all, which includes indigenous human beings of color and all queer human beings, having the same free access to a healthy environment and protection over their own bodies. So no more coming after women's rights, ovary rights, but, forcing children to have children. It's now illegal. That's what I would do. I would make it all, this would be the federal fucking deal, and the states would not be able to overturn it or whatever they've been trying to do this. So that should be allowed. That is terrorist shit. They are the terrorists. This does not include human beings. Oh wait, this does not exclude human beings without color and who are not queer. Just to make sure, you straight people and white people know that this is for you also. Okay. 7, 8. Eighth Amendment. I wrote them down in order of how they popped in my head, and then I kind of wrote them in order of how I think they should be in order. Anyways, so I'm going back and forth on pages. Eighth Amendment. Verbal abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, hate crimes, life threats are illegal in this country to all who live here and are visiting here. That means women have been voiceless for so long. Like, they have literally been said, like, they have a stalker and they feel unsafe and they try to do a restraining order. They have to, like, apparently have multiple write-ups or whatever, going to the police about what this person's doing, and then they go, well, did he physically hurt you? Like, it's bullshit. I would make this amendment to where if someone feels like their life is endangered, they automatically get protection. There is no 24 hours or well, he's not that bad or whatever. Verbal comment, like even comments on shit, life threats will be taken seriously in the court. And if you are life threatening someone or causing hate crime on someone, even if it's verbal or in the comments or whatever, because you can screenshot that shit and show, hey, this person said this to me, those would be put into the court and they would be held very seriously. Because when we ignore those verbal threats, we only take action after the person's dead. And that's just dumb. I want to have everything where it prevents from hate crimes and shit or going on. Sorry, I'm losing how I want to say this. But that's why I put, because verbal, mental, and emotional abuse has been like, well, you don't have photos of it, so it doesn't count. And that's their abusive way of getting away from it. Like, so if someone doesn't physically abuse you, then you're fine. And it's bullshit, because to me, I'm not saying physical abuse is less than, but to me, mental and emotional abuse, because you can't see it, well, actually you can see it if you really look for the signs, but because it's not photographable or whatever, or if you be able to record it, I mean, they basically want you to have reliable evidence of recording it and shit. Dude, if you're sitting there getting verbally abused or mentally abused, especially over the years, like my childhood trauma, I wasn't videoing that. I wasn't recording it. And that's another thing. I won't care how long ago it was. I would make it to where the courts bring justice to everyone. So cops will be brought to justice because, and they're about to get talked about. So that kind of goes into police. I'm going to overhaul the police and how they are. I don't even want to call them police anymore. Basically, they're going to have to go through training for basically kind of counseling, I guess, in a sense, to where they can de-escalate an issue, not escalate the issue, because most of the time they're the ones escalating shit. And if they can't handle that, then they need to find a different job. So, Ninth Amendment. Right to protect oneself and others from government officials and or citizens in a non-lethal, forceful way. Basically, I'm taking away killing. If you murder someone, that is the highest negative thing that you can do, and it's going to be the highest um, like punishment, in a way punishment. Like if you kill someone, take someone's life, even through suicide. That's another thing. Verbally abusing someone so much where they want to take their own life, to me, that is murder. And it will be looked at. If someone commits suicide, I won't be like, oh, well, they just didn't want to live anymore. No, it will be, let's look into the family. Let's see how this family was. Let's see the reason why this person took their own life. Because that's what we need to start doing. But anyone, I mean, society is another reason why people take their lives, is because of how society treats us. Because they have these high, rich standards of you have to look this way, and if you don't, then you're ugly. You know, like that's negative. But non-lethal, forceful way. This includes anyone who's visiting and or temporarily living in this country. So if you choose to hang out here, you're not allowed to bring violence. I'm basically making violence illegal. So these fuckers who have assault rifles raiding the Capitol, I'm going to hold them accountable for that, because they're like, I feel like some of them are getting set free. They're like, oh, well, they're just being patriotic. No, that's terrorist. That's terrorist attack. That's what that was. And some people fucking died during that. So 10th Amendment. Government officials no longer can use lethal force on anybody, whether they are a citizen and or someone visiting and or temporary living in this country. So no more of this raiding people's housing, because most of the damn time they're raiding a person's house for no damn reason, or it's because of cannabis. The fact that they come in with assault rifles and all you have is some plants, that's disgusting, and that's a shameful thing on the government. So 10th Amendment will be the government officials, they might still have a type of kind of defense weapon that will help protect them, but it's not lethal. Like guns will not be a thing anymore in our government, because everyone's like, well, I want to be able to have my guns because the government has guns. Okay, well, if I take that away, then fine. And you're probably thinking, well, what about other people who might attack our country? I feel like as long as we're not going around attacking other people, they're not going to attack us. And I know there's some idiots out there who are attacking uh, other countries because they want to take control. Sorry, there's like a dust thing. Take control over that land. That will be an act as a terrorist attack, and we will defend ourselves. And whatever weapons that we do have that can actually defend ourselves without brutally attacking the other person or killing the other person, like I don't know what they would be. We have specialized technology. I'm sure we can figure something out. We probably already have it. We just don't use it because we'd rather use lethal force and kill people. But I'd make it to where the government officials, FBI, and the police can't come into your house without knocking and all that kind of bullshit. They have to come in, they have to talk to you, and yes, they have a bulletproof vest to protect them from you hurting them. But I really think that the majority of the time, like, I mean, I've seen cops handcuff a white person who literally just shot up a school and gave them water and even put a bulletproof vest on them, so that way the families of the people who just had their kids murdered don't shoot the asshole. They don't do that to black people. They're the ones killing the black person. If a black person went in and shot up a school, I guarantee you that black person would be in a body bag as well. So if cops can sit there and calm down a white person who's literally pointing a gun at them, then they should be able to do that with a black person having a Subway sandwich in their hand trying to unlock their door to their house. I keep going back to that because it just blows my mind that someone got shot because they had a Subway sandwich in their fucking hand. Anyways, 10th Amendment. 11th. Where are you, 11th? 11th. Oh yeah, here we go. Jails and prisons will no longer be used for extreme punishment, but will be used for a rehabilitation, healing from past trauma and abuse. Sorry, I wrote this all weird. I put an arrow over here, punishment, but will be used for whatever. I don't know. It won't be used for, and cheap labor. Extreme punishment and cheap labor, because they've been using the prisons and jails for cheap labor of the people of color, and that's bullshit. And they're not going to be privately owned anymore. The government's going to be owning them, and we're going to make sure that we get people out of there, especially ones that are in there for cannabis. That's the only reason why they're in there. They're going to automatically be put out, and but also, like my other amendments, they're going to have free housing, they're going to have free food, free everything. They're not going to have to worry about that. And I'm also, it's not really an amendment because I don't know how I'd word that as an amendment, but I want to make it to where Social Security disability is easier to get on. Because I've been trying to get on it because I have PTSD and I have been having issues working in public, and I get triggered by assholes who don't really care for my pronouns and are sexist against women, and they talk to me like, well, you're a woman, go clean this, bullshit. That was my last job, and it was a trauma. And anyone who's lived in this country has gone through trauma, so they should have every right to get on to Social Security disability for their mental health. So like, not only which will be accounted for with having health care for all. Mental health will be a part of that. But we also need to be able to make money. Like, I have not been able to make money in the past few months, and I can't help out with anything, which is stressful. And then I tried to get on disability because I thought, well, maybe because it's so stressful to work in public, I can get on this. And I even had a letter from a therapist saying, hey, this is what they've been going through, this is their PTSD and all that. Like, clarification that I have it. It's not just me spitting out shit, but I don't even care. If anyone who lives in this country has PTSD, period, the end. Because we have been collectively going through trauma because of how our government treats us. So like, homeless people automatically on Social Security disability, and I want to raise the Social Security disability to where you are actually good and that you can use it for whatever you want. You can go on vacation, and like, vacation from just surviving. Now, even if you weren't working the whole time, vacation from surviving in this damn country is potential use for Social Security disability. So, what was I just reading? Oh yeah, jails. So jails and prisons, people who get out of there. Now, by all means, if you've murdered someone, you're probably going to be in there for a while. But we're going to change how jails are done. We're going to make it to where the rooms aren't really cages, but like maybe hotel rooms like thing, to where you can actually have some comfort and you can actually work on your mental health. Because most of the people in there, they need to work on their mental health from being in the jail and prisons. So no more extreme punishment. I'm hoping to create an environment to where people don't want to go stealing shit, because people who steal is because they don't have anything. They're so desperate to be able to get something that they go and steal shit. And sometimes it's still like stealing money. And that's because the rich people keep the money from us. And then they're like, just like I always say this, when they started doing the gold rush, a selective few people got to that gold first and then claimed it as their own and then forced others to mine for them, okay? Pay them cheaply, which most of them died because of the exposure of the coal and shit or whatever, the being underground and all that soot and what have you, collapsing on them. But the rich fucks were not even in there mining their gold after a while. They were forcing slaves to do it. And to me, that means that their money was taken. Their only power is money. And when we take that power away and give that money out to everyone, so everyone's wealthy, not rich, but wealthy, to where you have food, you have water, you have your basic needs for free, but then having, I guess luxury, as you would say, luxury type stuff, yeah, you can purchase that stuff. But like clothing is clothing. I don't care what name label you have on it, it's still clothing and it still covers you, and it shouldn't be outrageously priced just because it has some Gucci label on it, whatever they're called. I don't know. I don't wear expensive shit. But jails and prisons will be overhauled, and if we have to make it to where hotel rooms are the new jails, then so be it. I still want people to keep an eye on them, especially if they are in danger to other people. Yes, they need to be watched, but also have health care to where they can actually get better, because everyone deserves to get better. Even the assholes that created all this shit deserve to. I mean, in the reality, addiction to money is probably the worst addiction ever. And I look at them as an addict. They have an addiction to money, just like drugs, and they're probably all on drugs too. Have you seen about the Coca-Cola shit back in the day with cocaine? The people who were rich and could, I guess, afford cocaine, Coca-Cola, whatever, they're all on cocaine. Like, what the fuck? We didn't have the best people starting this government shit, okay? They're all racist, sexist, homophobic assholes who started the government, and some of them are still in the government. And that's why I say people, oh yeah, where's that amendment? Oh, I'm probably about to read that amendment. Oh, I made that the 13th Amendment. So there's 13 amendments, because I love the number 13. But anyways, to move on, because this is getting long. 12th Amendment. Everyone who has an address and or works in this country as a registered voter has the right to vote. I want to make it to where it's easy for everyone to vote. This includes those who are in prison and jail. Just because you were put in prison and jail does not mean you don't have the right to a voice. Because they always claim, vote, it's your voice, blah, blah, blah. But then they take away voices from everyone because they can't vote. So I'll make it to where they can vote. They have the right to register to vote. Now, by all means, if you really just don't want to vote, okay, fine. But I want to make it to where registering to vote is super easy. If you have an address and you work in this country, you should be able to vote. And that means everyone who supposedly has a green card, as they call it, you have the right to vote. Voter age. Now, some will probably be irritated by this, but it's just so that way teenagers can be freaking teenagers. And I'll make it to where if you want to join the military, you can't be this age either. 18-year-olds shouldn't be in the military. That's 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds should not be in the military. If you get out of high school, I believe that little spot right there should be about traveling, seeing the world, doing whatever, and I want to make it to where everyone has access to that. Basically, I'm making their privileges be everyone's privileges. So, voter age is 21 years of age. Those who are exempt of this are the 18-year-olds who voted in the 2024 election. So, if you voted in the 2024 election and you're 18, you can still vote, even though you're not 21 yet. But everyone who wasn't 18 and the ones who did not vote, if you didn't register to vote and vote for the 2024 election, then you can't vote until you're 21. And the reason why I'm doing this is not because I don't think 18-year-olds, 19 and 20-year-olds should vote. I just want them to be able to actually be teenagers. Because I hate to break it to you, when you're 18 and 19, there's still teen in it. You're still a teenager. And it doesn't make you less of an adult. Because we've got 50-year-olds who are not adult-like whatsoever. They throw tantrums and take rights for people and are bullies. Most of the politicians are bullies who never got held accountable as a bully when they were a kid, so they became an adult bully. And to me, when I see kids fighting for rights more than I see adults my age, it makes me sad, because I'm like, oh, they should be able to be kids. I didn't have a childhood, okay? But because you can't vote until you're 21, I feel like you can't be in the military until you're 21. Of course, I want to be changing the military and how it's set up. Military is going to be for actually helping, like Puerto Rico, they're flooding right now. Send the military down there and help them. It's that freaking simple. But no, our military is legit for war, and that's it. And that's disgusting. And so I think that 18, 19-year-olds just coming out of high school should not have to be traumatized in boot camp. You should be at least 21, and then of course I'm going to change it so they're not going to be traumatized. But I just want that little window of out of high school. Yeah, you can go to college if you want, or you can go travel and do other shit. I just want it to be more healthy. I want you to go into college. I want to change that too, because college should be free. Should I make that an amendment too? I don't know. Um, College should be free. Education should be free. But also, I feel like the education system just needs to be changed to where everyone has access to healthy education, not education where they're taking queer out of it, and because they're Bible thumpers, fucking up everything. Okay. Anyways, and then the 13th Amendment is all elected officials are limited to terms, 4 years each, as of the 2024 election. Everyone should only have 2 terms, 20, which is 8 years. I feel like that's because how the president is. But these Congress, do they been in there for like how long? I don't even know. So I make it to where 8 years of your life you can be into politics. But that's only if you're for the people. If you're not for the people and you just want to get rich or whatever, I'm just taking that away. And I think that the best way, and if it's not me, I hope that there's someone like this that I can vote for in 2024. If it's not me, I hope there's someone there that I can vote for who's just like this, exactly how I want to be. These amendments prove to you how I want to be as president. And um, anyways, let me finish this thing. Hold on. For 8 years as an elected official, are overdue to retire and are held accountable. Oh yeah, anyone. Wait, what? All those who already have more than 8 years as an elected official are overdue to retire and or held accountable for their abuse of power. So I feel like that's just how we can overhaul the whole damn thing. The federal government should be the ones who do that, but the federal government is also corrupt, so they're never going to do it. They sit there and say, go vote, let your voice be heard. But in reality, it really doesn't do much because there's so many people out there who can't vote, who don't even have access to where they can vote. They have to travel to vote. I would make it to where mail-in ballots, dude, as long as you can fill out the paperwork and prove that you have an address, because I would change it to where if you have an address and you live here, and by all means, the address is going to be checked. I mean, they have census, right, where they go in and say how many people are in this house, whatever. We have ways of making sure that, yes, this is your house, this is the where you live at. But it's also free housing now, so everyone's going to have a house. Everyone could have an apartment. Even if your apartment is your address, that counts. Homeless people don't have that. They're fucking homeless. They don't get to put on an address to go vote, and that's bullcrap. And it's just another way for the government to make it where it's hard to vote. And as president, I would want to make it easy for everyone to vote because that's how it should be. If we're gonna have a country full of voting and money, then it should be access to everyone. Volunteer work from now on is paid. Like, if you volunteer your time and energy to do something for the community, it should be paid for. Although I hope that, we're getting paid well anyway, so whenever you do go volunteer, it's not a big of a deal. Because I feel like when you have a privilege to volunteer and still be able to have food on the table, that's beautiful. And I want it to where everyone has that privilege. And that's why, in reality, so I don't turn 35 until May of 2024. But I looked up, and apparently you can put your name on the ballot like the day of voting. So May 2024, on my birthday, I'm going to go down and do the paperwork and put my name on the ballot for people to vote. And even if I don't win, okay, whatever, I at least took that huge ass step to go down there and make a change. I made a move. And that's my move. And that's why I did the amendments. Because literally, if I became president, that would be like the first thing I do. And I wouldn't care what the Congress said. If someone was in my way of making this change, I would just fire them. Because that's kind of how they do it. They make people disappear in some way. I'm not going to make anyone disappear. I'm going to hold them accountable, show them who they really are. I mean, we have media now. We can do that. See, that's another reason why their world is crumbling, the rich world is crumbling, is because people who get on media, at least, and share their stories, when you share your story, you're raising the vibration of change. And me raising the vibration of change, telling my story and how I want to view the world, is my way of raising the vibration, is my way of raising the vibration to where we can go into a different dimension. And yeah, I speak like that because their dimension sucks. Their government sucks. The rich government sucks. And I want to create the government to where it actually helps everyone. Because I believe that the government can be healthy. It can have a second chance and be created into a sense that everyone can use it uh, and benefit from it. Because for the longest time, not a lot of us have been able to benefit from it. And literally, me going in and trying to vote for the local stuff in my area proves to me on how hard they make it to vote. And then I'm talking to someone who's been running for, I can't remember what she's running for, but she's running for to be in office, and it's like a part-time little gig, but it takes a lot of time and energy to do it, and it doesn't pay well. And basically, before you even get it, you have to basically come up with the money yourself. And I want to make it to where it doesn't matter. Like, if you want to run for office, the money doesn't matter, because money shouldn't matter about that. It should be your values, your beliefs on how things should be run. And I'm not talking about like beliefs as religion beliefs, but like it should be for the people. If you're not doing it for the people, then you shouldn't be running. If the most of them are just doing it to get money, they just want more money. And they prove that they get more money because of how their housing looks, how many yachts they have, how many of all this bullshit that they have. That proves that they only did it for the money. Because if they have a yacht and two summer homes and shit, but the people in their community is drinking filthy water because they won't take the money to put a really nice filter in the water source, in the actual source itself, then they're not in it for the good. They literally put up their red flags proudly. So we can look at them and go, you're red flags, you're red flags, you're green flags, way to be green flags. Let's pay attention to the red flags that they wave proudly. I mean, most of their flags are kind of red, are they not? Anyways, that's why I want to run, and I will be running. Even if I don't win, I really don't care if I don't win. The fact that I did it and put my name on the ballot, then great. I'm going to try to, put the word out. I'm going to put this on all my medias, social media this kind of resonates with my book, because the book is the reason why I'm even thinking like this. And that's why I want to put it all together. So I hope people not only read my book, but then also see this video and look at how we could change the government. But we really have to change the government by getting inside of it. You can't change on the outside. You have to be on the inside. So if you can run in your local community, freaking do it. Have people who want to see you in there run, also like help you donate or whatever. I know there's still money involved, but let's find those resources to be able to run and change the, honestly, Republican. Because Republican and conservative, they're the ones who are all about their religion and shit. The Roman Republic died out, and so will the Republicans here. It's bound to happen. History does repeat itself. And whenever the community, the peasants, the slaves get fed up with the higher ups, that's how we change the government, is by getting more involved and not allowing them to put up those blockades, those walls, break down those walls, and educate yourself in it. And it might be a struggle, but if you really do it, I promise you, you will find the energy to do it, because it's going to be something for the better and for the good. And whenever you're doing something for the better and for the good, you find that energy within yourself to do it. But whenever you're going to a deadbeat job and you know it's not going to go anywhere, it's hard to have that energy for it. So I want to make it to where, even if you still want to be a server at a restaurant, tips are not going to be a thing. Like, you're going to be paid so well that you won't even care about getting tips, because you're going to be paid well. And you're actually going to want to cook for people. Because I know there's people out there who do like to cook for people, who do like to see people eat their food and, like, love eating the food or whatever. So, like, I know that that's a thing, and it can still be a thing. but just make it to where it's not so corporate and it's just about making the money. It's about feeding the people. So like restaurants won't have to worry about how much money you make by people coming in, because money is not going to be the thing that runs the world anymore. This country, anyways. I know I can't do what the world is doing, but in this country, as a president, I hope to make it to where money is just splurged everywhere. It's not rich and poor anymore, because that's the biggest divide in this country, is rich and poor. And once you get rid of that divide, everything else will fall into place. But anyways, finally did this video. It's about an hour long. Sorry, I hope you can get through it. And I hope that the amendments really speak to you, and that you see that they are indeed for the good, and that they will actually help us, because we really need to upgrade everything in the government, because the government was literally created by sexist, racist, homophobic assholes. And to have none of those in there will be great. And it's not taking rights away from them. They're still going to have their stupid rights that they've always had. But it's giving the rights to the people who have been silenced and murdered for way too long. Because that's literally what they've been done. You're either murdered emotionally, spiritually, or physically. It can look in all aspects. Because like being dead inside is basically being dead. And I feel like I've been dead for a while, because of the trauma and shit that I've gone through. But anyways, I'm going to end it there. Until next time, peace out. And I hope that you find your healing path, and that you find passion in your life to where you change the world too.